The iPhone 14 rumors have already started even though the iPhone 13 was just unveiled. And based on what we're hearing, this could be anything but an iterative upgrade. As for price, it's also difficult to predict. But we suspect the iPhone 14 will match the price of the iPhone 13, which starts at $799 for the iPhone 13 mini and $899 for the iPhone 13 Pro. However, there could be no iPhone 14 mini at all, so we'd expect the standard iPhone 14 to start at $899. No iPhone 14 mini? Despite the iPhone 12 mini's reportedly poor sales, Apple has revealed an iPhone 13 mini. But the mini could be toast after that, as the company will reportedly shake up the iPhone 14 lineup for 2022. There could be a larger iPhone 14 Plus or Max to go along with the regular 6.1-inch. So there would be two regular-size phones and two larger-screen iPhone 14 models. iPhone 14 design. According to John Prosser and his front-page tech video, the iPhone 14 will look like an iPhone 12 crossed with an iPhone 4, in that it'll stick with flat edges. But on those edges could be a mute button and a group of rounded buttons for volume central, harking back to the iPhone 4. At a time when people are wearing masks to avoid catching COVID-19, Face ID can struggle to identify iPhone users, so having a form of Touch ID would solve that problem. iPhone 14 display. We expect the displays on the iPhone 14 range to track with those on the iPhone 13, minus the mini phone. So for the iPhone 14 range, we're likely to see a standard iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro come with a 6.1-inch possible iPhone 14 Plus and iPhone 14 Pro Max to sport a 6.7-inch display. Given the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max have a 120Hz refresh rate display, we expect all iPhone 14 models to have such a screen, likely using an LTPO panel or an evolution of that display tech. An always-on display would also seem logical for the iPhone 14 given it was tipped for the iPhone 13 but never made it into the latest iPhone. And we also like to see, however, that raises the question as to where the Face ID sensors would go. There are rumors that Apple will put the sensors under the OLED display, but a claim made by display expert Ross Young has said that under the panel, Face ID isn't final yet, but that T is easier than under panel camera. There is some chatter that if Apple does go for an under-display take on Face ID at LTE cameras, we haven't heard a lot about the cameras of the iPhone 14 so far, but there are some interesting rumors. One report from Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo tips for a 48MP main sensor for the iPhone 14 Pro models, which would be a big jump from the 12MP camera on the iPhone 13. Better telephoto capabilities would also be appreciated, as the iPhone lags behind the likes of the Samsung Galaxy S21. It would be rather neat if Apple drew inspiration from the Galaxy S21 Ultra and opted for a secondary telephoto camera with something like a 10x optical zoom. One Apple patent points to Apple working on a periscope-style zoom camera, which could make its way to the iPhone 14, or at least the Pro models. iPhone 14 specs, battery life, and charging. It's also possible that the iPhone 14 will feature an Apple-made 5G modem. Acquisition of Intel's modem business. This would presumably give Apple more control over both the 5G performance and battery life impact. iPhone 14, what we like to see a fresh design. Prosser's renders of the iPhone 14 tease a rather attractive-looking phone. But it's not a vast jump in Apple industrial design aesthetic. Granted, Apple makes some of the nicest looking phones around, but we like to see if it could push phone design further. Perhaps the iPhone 14 range could include the much-rumored iPhone Flip foldable phone. No notch, the iPhone 14 could come with a notch-less display, and we hope they bear fruit. Rumor has it this could be replaced with a punch hole, but we'd like to see an under-display camera so long as it didn't impact imaging or Face ID performance. Touch ID, we'd be rather confident that Apple will bring back Touch ID for the iPhone 14 via an in-display sensor. Perhaps the side-mounted power button could have a Touch ID sensor integrated into it like
That's all for today. Peace.